Hello, and welcome all to the Okra Chronicles, a story about Okra, the sister to Fuba, an appetite-driven coward looking to make a name for herself in this zombie apocalypse. And before we get into the meat of the video, I just wanted to thank everyone for the feedback and support. Reading some comments and also input from friends, I decided to not start in the dead of winter. Although the winter will be still cold, I don't think she'll be constantly getting hypothermia. Going into this playthrough, I didn't really have a grand plan like last time. I just wanted to go into it, see how far I could make it. Maybe as I play through, I will establish something, but as of now, I didn't have anything too crazy. However, just like last time, I have a couple sandbox options and mods installed. I mainly just wanted to sit back and relax and tell the tale of Okra. As usual, I looted my starting house, read some magazines, and started to work on my plan. Since I was playing in Muldraw, I knew about a police station near the highway. I thought that regardless of what happens, clearing that area up will be high priority, especially before the pesky zomboids increase in numbers. I also forgot to mention two things. One, Okra is really inefficient. I don't know why I even bothered with this mod, but she is -3 efficiency in her skill tree, so every time action takes 3 times more than usual. And two, this journey is also accompanied by Foxy the Pirate from Five Nights at Freddy's, as you will soon see here. For fuck's sake, dude. Entering the second house, I find pants and a sweater, so I changed Okra out of the dirty onesie she was wearing and continued on my journey. Even though I don't have a digital device to tell me the date, I know it's October. That means I have a bit of time before the cold really kicks in. And speaking of kicking, I kicked this zomboid's ass and continued stuffing my pockets full of goodies. I ransacked the place and decided to steal the Family Guy SUV, only to be greeted by a blaring alarm. Forgetting I'm in a zombie apocalypse, I run away in fear that someone might come and get me. The house across had a better looking truck anyway. I head off to the police station, only to stop and turn around as I notice a bunch of zomboids in uniform. The freaks were being weird about giving me their clothes, so I entered combat. Stripping the corpses of their dignity, I played dress up with their uniform. I did try and look for a fire truck, but there was none nearby. I drive off into a small corner store with a bunch of food and magazines. There are no spunky magazines for Okra, but there was enough food to feed an Asian family of 9 for 5 days in this store. Taking as much as I can again, I make a mental note as there are still a lot of canned foods I can come back for later. I took a different car and drove into a fancy looking street. The car in this garage piqued my interest, but for now, I didn't have time for the vanity. I noticed a lack of zombies roaming about, so I took the opportunity to run around and check the cars out. The RV mod not only provided a safe housing, but a chance to get some good loot in the vans and trucks. The bank van didn't have anything of use, however, just a bunch of credit cards and cash. I took a good-looking green truck for a joyride, and I'm sure the driver won't mind. If you have been a keen viewer, you might have realized the lack of zomboids in the Zomboid game. Well, that is because I have the numbers of zomboids to gradually go up. And do not worry, if it does become too easy, I'll crank the zomboid number up even higher. I hopped over to another vehicle. I couldn't quite make my mind up on which one to keep as a loot hauler. I finally found the police station, but there were some zoids hanging about. I swiftly took care of the ones outside. After looting the corpses, I went ahead and checked the SWAT car out. I've never seen such a beautiful hunk of metal in my life. Inside the car, there were some chairs and containers to put my goodies stashed in a safe location. Now, it was time to clear the inside of the station. I secure an exit by removing the window, in case things get too dicey, and I head upstairs to meet the rest of the police force. They weren't too keen on me moving in, so I take matters into my own hands. I was going to pile the bodies up and burn them later, but I heard a commotion downstairs and saw new friends that showed up. annoying. After the scuffle, I sharpen my blades and repair my weapons to get a bit of XP and finish day 1. Day 2 was an early start. Word on the street was there was a barricaded house nearby, so I left with my car to go loot it up. I drove into the neighborhood and found the house. There wasn't any notable loot inside. Whoever this person was did a terrible job at stocking up. There was a couple books, pots, and pans, but what I needed was weapons and medical supplies. But with none of those items to be found, I stuffed my pockets with whatever looked good and left the empty house. Near the house, there were a couple of metal girders. I wanted Okra to level up her skill, so I took the opportunity to do so. After dismantling the girders, I drove off to find more barricaded houses. I will, maybe, might, loot the normal houses up later on. I took note of the container chassis. However, without a truck, I want to be able to haul it back to the police station, so I just moved on to finding more barricaded houses. I did eventually find another prepper house, so I prepared myself to break and enter the building. Unfortunately, Okra is starting to get sleepy and depressed, which makes her actions much slower than usual. It also isn't very optimal in a high-octane situation, but Okra built up the courage and rampaged. During the scuffle, she got some scratches and lacerations, which wasn't taken care of at the time, as she almost died of bleeding. With quick thinking and quick ripping, I wrapped myself in band-aids and decided to drive back so I can heal up and rest. While driving back, I made sure to check on the wounds and tended to the band-aids just in case. With no alcohol to disinfect the wounds, I had to pray I didn't get a horrible infection or even turn into a disgusting zomboid. The next day, I started to loot the basement of the police station. Thankfully, it was merely just a scratch, and I started to loot the basement of the police station. There was, what I presume, an autopsy room with some medical supplies and alcohol for future use. I checked out the photography room with only paper that I didn't need, and I moved on to the evidence locker. I didn't have the key to the door, so I knocked the door down with my trusty little axe. The locker was filled with guns, ammo, and tools. Nothing too crazy though, because I knew the real me was in the arsenal. I went back upstairs, but I got distracted and started to throw the bodies out of the window to air the room out a little bit. After clearing the area, I got right back to swinging with my axe to enter. This process does take a long time, but I knew it was going to be worth it. I also had to tear down the gate and cabinet, but those don't take as much time. It was beautiful. All the loot was now in my hands, and I also had so much ammo. So much, as a matter of fact, I could probably take on the next town on my list, West Point. But I needed to prepare for this. For now, I stashed my haul in the truck of the police station, satisfied with my loot. I slept on the moldy seats so I could start preparing. The next day, I noticed that it was starting to get chilly in the city, so I needed to obtain warmer clothes. So I went around to check the surrounding stores for padded clothes, maybe a nice winter coat to wrap myself in. I knew the electricity won't stay much longer in this city, so I had to be quick. While on my hunt for clothes, I did find a blue truck that I needed for the chases. So I took the truck away and connected the trailer so I can fix up the car and container. Okra can now finally achieve what her sister couldn't, a life on wheels. And I knew Fuba 1 through 20 is looking up proud. Now, unfortunately, Okra isn't a licensed trucker, so there was some struggle to get the truck turned around, but once I settled the truck into place, I started cleaning the interior of the truck. Whoever owned this prior to me left it quite empty, but there was some trash scattered here and there, and I made sure to pick every single piece up. There were 2 cardboard boxes in the back, with some junk inside. I got a nice looking hat, and I threw away the trash and put the boxes outside. After cleaning the interior of the truck, I decided to check the engine out, which was messed up in all the wrong places. But that didn't put my spirits down. I went back to smacking the rest of the locked doors inside the station to fully loot it. Knowing I needed supplies to fix the truck engine up, as well as preparing myself for the upcoming winter, there was quite a bit to do. After a long time smacking 2 different doors, I found a whole lot of nothing. A bit disappointing, but at least it satisfied my curiosity. Smacking the door for so damn long, I was a bit hungry, so I stuffed my mouth with some marshmallows. And After eating those marshmallows, I did notice my weight was increasing pretty rapidly, so I suppose I had to start watching what I ate. Not wanting to waste a single minute, I drove off to find some more food. Perishable options were higher in priority since they could start rotting soon. That means fresh vegetables and fruit. With no place to cook meat, I didn't have any plans on taking it with me. I also made sure to pack all the non-perishable foods and drinks I could find inside the store. And I made sure to get some candy to reward myself later too. I got into a black sedan parked behind the store and drove off to find more loot. I came across a bookstore nearby. I took a couple books that I needed. I mainly looked for mechanic-related ones. There were more zomboids outside that was interesting in reading, but I needed to make sure the literacy in this town gets lower. But this was bad. There were 2 more zomboids, and Okra wasn't able to swing her axe anymore. But because I was so slow, I couldn't enter the car. So I had to keep pushing the zomboids away until they fell over. Finally being able to escape the desperate situation, I drove off to safety as quickly as possible. And I ended this day by climbing into my cargo container and sleeping on the cold floor. I woke up later in the day and decided I wanted to pursue a higher education. Parking in front of the elementary school, I jumped through the window to take in more fine literature. Since I got the mechanic books I needed, the books I needed now most were carpentry and efficiency. All the other ones I took were just in case I wanted to be a blacksmith or something like that. After slaughtering some teachers and students, I took all the books I found around the classrooms and left the school. Driving around, I stumbled upon an ambulance that might be able to lead the zomboids away from my temporary base. I entered the ambulance, took all the medical supplies, and I turned on the siren, and I swiftly left the scene. It was getting late, but I wasn't tired at all. I found another barricaded house with zomboids that had some loot on them. Breaking and entering the building, I took care of the residences inside. But again, during the scuffle, I got some scratches and lost a lot of HP. I bandaged myself up, ate some fruits to recover, and a little later, more zomboids got curious on my endeavors and broke and entered the house. After taking out the last of them, I had an old friend come in and comfort me from the stress I endured.
Because you a stupid mug, yo.
Dude, god damn it! Despite that stressful situation, I was able to take a break and get some shut-eye. It was a new day, full of opportunity, so I got into the white truck to haul the loot I obtained from the house. I got back to the cargo base to start on a long and annoying task of reading a bunch of books. I tuned into Life and Living so I can read and gain small bits of XP while I do so. After the couple close calls I had, this was a life. I was snacking, I was reading books. I was getting really bored of reading books though. To get a change in scenery, I decided to head out to the VHS store. I wanted to get some extra carpentry levels and also keep Okra entertained. The next couple of days were just me bouncing back and forth from the TV to books, so I cut the footage down. After reading and gaining some experience, I was driving around looting as per usual. I then had a surprise visit by my favorite little guy. Sake, dude! Behind the house that I was looting, there was a giant warehouse full of carpentry items. I jumped the fence and started stuffing my bag. I wanted to start building up my base, add some furniture, maybe even a sink and fridge, so this was perfect. Before I went home, I hit up a small little house with a blue-headed punk inside that gave me the wrong looks. I think because of the piercings and metal rings, the punk took more hits than he should have. Nothing of worth came out of his pockets, so I left and went back to my humble base. Next episode, I'll start building up the cargo container and stop leaving loot on the floor like a savage. And with that, I wanted to end this episode on a good note. Next episode, I'll start building up the cargo container and make it seem more homey. And thank you all for watching till the end, and if you'd like, swing by my Twitch channel where I usually record these live. And if you like Zomboid content like this, make sure to leave a comment and let me know. And if you don't, fine, you don't have to.